Hi there folks, we're out there today again with a toddler, playing in the melting snow and raising some medwars. This little cat is a baby from this spring. I really love how they take to snow here and not bother us at all. I wanted to quickly show you two small but interesting bits here in the garden while the snow is melting. It's a good time to demonstrate that. So I'm walking downwards now in the garden past the compost here, and if you turn your attention here to the middle of the frame, you can see how there's like this small dip or indentation in the snow in a straight line down there. This is where the end of our French drain passes through the soil. Of course, it's covered with grass, and then it's 60 centimeters going up to zero down there with the gravel, drainage gravel, and it leads away all the excess water after it has been infiltrated higher in the plot. I'll talk about that more in spring when we have our spring rains, but now it's a good demonstration of how the water moves, and you can see that the snow is lower here because it's already started melting, and the reason it's melting faster is that it has water flowing underneath the snow and in the soil through the gravel. And down here, even though much of the small forest around is still covered with snow, you can see this bare patch of grass down here by our human manure collection point. This is one of the brush piles we have for hedgehogs and other beneficial animals to overwinter. Toads also love that spot. I'm going closer. You can see here we have a surface flow of the melting snow, which means that probably the drainage down is mostly filled with water, or the soil is saturated, and the amount of snow that is melting is not able to infiltrate. So instead of just sitting and waterlogging upwards in the garden, it just slows down towards this point. This is very rarely seen. To have this amount of water on the surface, mainly because the soil here being very heavy clay, water absorption capacity. But a specific point when there is a very rapid snow melt, such as today, and very high spring rains after the soil has already been saturated, we have seen some amounts flow down here, and you can see that it doesn't really continue downwards. It ends at about that point, which means that around here and downwards in the forest, there's almost no more water here on the surface. So it's not flowing under the snow, because otherwise it would have melted it. So the drainage actually works well and as intended. This here is our rainwater tank. It's dug in 5 cubic meters, not much, but that was all we could afford. And now with the melting snow, you can see how there is water dripping on one of the incoming pipes. And that is the snow melt from the roof. The roof is now almost all melted, so there's not much here draining. So we collect the water from basically half of our roof. We have 4 down pipes, and 2 of those go underground and coming here in the tank. And we collect that water. The other 2, however, let me just walk around a bit. They are gathered on the other side of the house, and they are also joined by the 4 pipes that come off from my neighbor's roof, because on his property there is no good place to infiltrate the rainwater, and also it's something I really want to have kept in the soil, preferably in our garden, and not just be lost in some infiltration well. So I cannot open that. So down here you can see that it's a collection shaft. We have 3 inlets and 1 outlet, and those are the inlets that gather the water from neighbor's roof and our roof as well. And this whole thing goes down slope in our garden. So we're not only gathering our own rainwater and storing into the soil, but also we're gathering our neighbor's roof rain. There is a 20 centimeter wide drain pipe or infiltration pipe, which is a large pipe with holes on the sides of it, which goes down by the fence line down here. And this is dug at about 1 meter depth, so it never freezes, even at very cold times. And it runs down here continuously, slowly infiltrating water. But as there is a slope, significant slope here, maybe there's like 2 meters of drop for 50 meters of length. So most of the water, some of the water infiltrates sideways from the pipe, but most of the water just flows down here. And this is where the garden starts. And we have this big infiltration pit here. It's like a type of a modified French drain. So down here under our outdoor sink, which is just on a metal frame sitting on top of the surface, there's like 2 cubic meters volume, which is filled with gravel, and most of the water from the roofs comes and gathers here under the soil and slowly infiltrates in that direction, because that is the general slope of the garden. And we have seen that on many occasions. I've talked about that in another video. Maybe if I can find it, I'll link it in the description. But in an occasion where we have very high rain amount, this thing continues as a smaller size trench underground here for another 50 meters, almost 40 maybe, and reaches down there when I showed you in the beginning. So it's kind of an overflow of the main amount here, and it also serves to drain any excess rain when there is lots of rain here. It serves to quicker divert some of the rain away from the garden, because the garden itself, having raised beds, it holds all the water it can take on its own. All the pathways here between the raised beds get full with water, and it slowly infiltrates downwards. So that's what you have working. I'll be making a more detailed video about it, and also showing you how we use the rainwater we collect and what we do with the water that comes out of the waste treatment system. But that's for another time. Today I just wanted to show you how the melting snow goes into a system via collection and also by infiltration, and eventually, even if we have some apocalyptic amount of rain, all of the water will be flowing downwards towards the dry creek bed. First, the forest, it has massive water holding capacity, but then even if that is not enough, then it will go downwards towards the dry creek. And usually with that amount of rain, the creek is already flowing, so it all kind of clicks together very well as an integrated system. So that was all for today, folks, and I'll see you tomorrow.